Hi y'all, welcome to Sweet Tea Astrology and Tarot. My name is Erica and I am in the middle of recording your February 2017 astrology videos. And I have referenced on more than one occasion that I would do a story time video for y'all. And this is actually the first video I'm recording of the day, so good morning. Good afternoon or good evening if that's where you're at as well. So, story time video. Before I get to the story, I want to address a couple of things very quickly. Bear with me, and I'll do my best to timestamp this because I know I'm long-winded. The first thing I want to say is, holy crap, welcome, wow, and hi to all of the new subscribers that have found me in the last couple of months. I'm sitting at about 4,100 subscribers now. That is, it trips me out every time I see the number grow, y'all. You just don't even know. I started this channel in May of 2016 on the Taurus new moon because that is my moon placement, the Taurus moon. So I made this channel on the new moon of my moon sign, Taurus, in May. A little redundant. And it has grown beyond my wildest expectations. I started this channel because my friends, loved ones, and family, as much as they try to understand what I'm talking about, they look at me and smile and nod their head while their eyes glaze over because they just aren't getting it. And I have an incessant need to get this information out to people, so I made the channel. I hope you enjoy these videos, and I hope you find value in what I share. Now, that's the perfect segue into the second topic that I have. It is said that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. But my sun, my Aries sun placement is in my 5th house, the house of creation. It is the artist house. So I am honored by their imitation, but irritated by it nonetheless. There are a few channels that have popped up on YouTube that are using my material as their own. I call these channels channel imposters. And I have reported the videos that I have come across. But this is where I need your help. If you come across a video that looks like mine, but it is not under Sweet Tea Astrology and Tarot, and there are no links provided saying that it is my channel, my content. It has a watermark with my dog's picture down in the lower corner. If none of that is showing up, then it is a stolen video. And I request of you to do one of two things. To report that video independently as stolen content, or if that's too much, then please shoot me a message on YouTube with a copy of the URL so that I may report it. I've never been faced with having to challenge someone for stealing my content and using it as their own. And I really actually made a giant ass of myself when the first channel appeared, or the first channel I was alerted to. I went immediately to the channel, I went to the most viewed video, and I found that in the description, the information for contacting me was at a different Gmail address. So I instantly shot off an email to this individual and was very curt, very short, very to the point. My videos, my content, you're stealing them, you've been reported. And this poor individual contacted me back and said, all of the videos that are on my channel are strictly mine, and I don't know who you are. Check your records. So, Little Miss Debate Queen texting back, well, my records say da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and you better check yourself. Mind you, I'm an Aries sun, a Taurus moon, and a Scorpio rising, so I'm good and hot and bothered about this now. And this individual, thankfully, had a much cooler head and went to the video, saw that it was mine, but also saw that their email had been attached to it, and it was a misrepresentation of them. So I look like a giant asshole, and if that individual is watching this video, I am so sorry that I sounded like a giant, double, deep-fried monster bitch. I'm sorry. I'm sure that's how I came across. Mercury was in retrograde, and my Mercury placement is in Aries. Yeah. So, I apologize if you are watching, you know who you are. If you're not, then I still send my apologies out into the universe because I felt like a giant asshole after the fact. But basically what I'm asking you to do is report those videos that you come across that aren't explicitly under my channel, or please send the URL to me so I can do the reporting process, because this is my home that I'm inviting you into. This is my bedroom. You hear my personal stories. You may not see my face. In some of my videos you have, but I take it personally. This is my domain. This is my area. And I don't mind anyone coming in as long as it's through the invited or intended way through my channel. Security is big to me. I have a Taurus moon. So, now, the next thing that I'm going to talk about is some backstory that will actually help with the telling of story time. Because if I don't do these backstories, I would have to go off into side tangents. And I actually tried to shoot this video last night, and it ended up being much longer and more drawn out than I intended or wanted it to be. So, the backstory. For my older viewers, I'm sorry. I'll try to have this timestamp so you don't have to listen to it, but I'm not going to be bawling and squalling in this one. I survived a house fire in October of 2014. This house fire was not my fault. My neighbor did not fully extinguish a cigarette, and honestly, I don't buy that story, but that's what's on the fire report. And regardless, her house was fully engulfed in flames. My house just happened to be sitting next to it, and the wind just happened to be blowing my way. Now, 2 weeks before this fire, I received an internal message that I ignored. I was driving down the road, and I heard an advertisement on the radio for renter's insurance through the car insurance company that I already had car insurance through. I just didn't have renter's insurance. And I thought, I really need to check into that renter's insurance stuff. And I never followed through. And 2 weeks later, I lost everything and almost my life in a house fire that wasn't my fault. Shit happens, y'all. Okay. Fast forward a couple of years. Let's go May 30th, 2016. I call her my best friend because I'm an Army brat and I moved around the majority of my life. And I was married and lived in a very secluded, isolated period of time during my marriage. So Stephanie is a high school friend of mine who I consider the longest friendship I've had, really. It's just the reality of it. I don't have a big circle. I keep very close circles, Scorpio rising. But Stephanie's mother, who was her world, her rock, her best friend, her mom, her dad, her sister, her brother, she was everything to Stephanie. Angie was murdered by her husband the night of May 30th, 2016. And her husband committed suicide after the fact. There was no letter left. It was just a very sad time. Very sad time. And me being the sensitive that I am, that next evening, because I'm not going to get into the whole story, but Stephanie found out. She's devastated, as anybody would be. And I go and try to comfort my friend the best way that I know how. And on the way home, I feel this pit in my stomach. And I just start talking. when I can, because if I'm not talking, I'm vomiting into a big gulp cup that I stopped and got because I knew I was going to get sick on the way home. That's just how my body physiologically reacts to these sorts of situations. When I'm overwhelmed, when I'm stressed, when I'm getting messages, anything can trigger my stomach. And I just get sick. So I knew that was going to be a problem. Stopped and got me a cup. Driving down I-20 to my house, and I just start talking, and I say something to the effect of, Angie, I am so sorry. I know that you don't have a clue as to what has happened to you. And I told her that I hoped she was sitting down because I was going to tell her. And I let her know what I knew. And I told her that it was okay if she wanted to bunk with me. And what I mean by that is, I believe, and this doesn't have to be anything that you believe, but what I believe is that spirits that are the souls of people who are taken from us in a manner like that. And she never saw it coming. I feel like they need time to process that. You know, her soul was ready to go to bed so she could get up and go see her granddaughter and take her to gymnastics that next morning and do their summertime routine that had already started. So her spirit still had things she had to do. And I said, you can bunk with me because I know you can't stand to see your daughter distraught right now. And I believe that Angie stayed with me for a few days, up until her wake. I saw giant glowing orbs, sometimes white with a hot pink center or an orange center. I would see out of the corner of my eye or in my periphery what would look like butterfly wings, but of reflective, glittery type material, almost like if someone threw a big handful of glitter up in the sky and you just kind of saw the sparkles falling back down. That's the best way I can describe it. So I know Angie is around me, and I feel her to this day. The fire opened up a sensitivity to me. It was the beginning of my spiritual awakening, and it's when I truly started to respect the fact that I am a sensitive. And I get messages. These messages are accurate and have been validated and confirmed through really the person in my world that is closest to me and does not judge me for what I am now experiencing. That's my fiance. I tell him about the dreams that I have because that's usually where I get my messages, but not always. Sometimes it's a song. Sometimes it's just internal prompts that I get. Pay attention, this is important. Well, so I get messages. They're usually accurate. I'm not going to go into my accuracy because that's not what this is about. This is me telling you a story. And now that the backstory is finished, I can get into the actual story. And I'm going to mark down when the story starts. About 14 minutes. Or 13:30. I'll do it like that. 13:30. So, story time. After 13 minutes of me rambling. January 20th, 2017, it started out as any other day. My fiance was home. He is a truck driver. His 36-hour reset had just finished, and he was waiting for a load. And they called him, told him he had a load, and I took him to the truck stop about 15 minutes away from where I live, and his truck wouldn't start. Alright, cool. He asks me to get on my phone and to Google the address where we were at. And I type in the words, neighbors. Because that's where we were at. That was the name of the truck stop. And the oddest thing happened. I didn't pull up the address of the truck stop. What pulled up I don't know if you can read that. This is Miss Angie. And this is the news report of her murder. So what I intended to do was look up this address of the truck stop where I was at. Instead, it pulls up the news report of Angie's murder and a picture of her. And I'm looking at her, dead in her face, looking at her, eyes back at me. And I was like, all right, that's odd. And I keep putting my hand over half of the phone because I'm not going to honor Eric in this. That's the only mention he will get. Anyway, so Angie's picture is in front of me, and I'm like, all right, that's really strange. But I didn't think too much of it at the time. I was just like, okay, duly noted, acknowledged. Wrecker comes, Jeremy's truck gets fixed, he gets off on the road, he's trucking on down the road, everything's fine. And I get in my vehicle, and on the driver's side window, there is a ladybug crawling. And here's a good time to interject that when Angie wants to really get my attention, I see a rainbow, a ladybug, or a monarch butterfly, among other things. Sometimes it's songs, but I'm not going to get into everything. There's this ladybug crawling on my window, driver's side window. And as soon as I get inside and I shut the door, it just starts flying all over the window, and it keeps beating itself against the wind like a fly trying to get out of a window. So it's making itself known to me. Look at me, look at me, look at me. So I've seen Angie's picture, and now I've got this ladybug that is demanding and commanding my attention in my vehicle. It's like, all right, I'm going to call Stephanie. And I don't call people. I'm a texter. I can be more efficient texting than I can on the phone, actually having a one-on-one conversation. But I called her, and she didn't answer, and I left her a voicemail, which is also unlike me, because normally I would just hang up. And I said, I'm just calling to see if you need me. I'm calling to check on you. I'd been helping Stephanie move her mamaw the entire month of December. And during a Mercury retrograde. She started the process during the fall Mercury retrograde. Her astrologer friend told her not to, but she did anyways because she hadn't really had astrology speak to her the way that I think she saw it work through me this past weekend. So, I see her picture. The ladybug has got my attention. I've made my phone call. About 20 minutes later, Stephanie calls me back. And she sounds really happy to hear from me, which is odd because most people don't. And so she's like, hey, yeah, no, it would be great to see you. I would love to have you out here. Please, come on. But didn't make it sound urgent in any way. Just very happy to hear from me. So I didn't take my time, but I didn't burn the tires off the truck either. I got over there, and as soon as I got in there, Mamaw started screaming and hollering at me because she said Stephanie was sick and needed to sleep. And Stephanie wasn't sick. Stephanie was trying to not have a panic attack in front of her Mamaw, who is in her older age, who has dementia, who has issues. She didn't want to upset or trouble her elderly grandmother. But Stephanie had a heart attack when she was younger and has had a stent put in her heart. And that will be important in a few minutes. So, she told me that she had taken some of her nitroglycerin and that she felt like she was having a heart attack. And that's when Erica turned into Rescue 911, William Shatner, the whole nine. And all of you 90s kids will know exactly what I'm talking about. So please, in the comments below, don't wreck me over that statement. I couldn't help it. Rescue 911 was a big part of my world when I was younger. I was fascinated by it. But anyways, so yeah, I got the shat on, and I made her take 2 more shots of her nitroglycerin, and I gave her 2 aspirin. And as fast as I could, I packed her stuff up that she had taken to her Mamaw's, little stuff to do, and got her in my truck, and we were flying to the Blanchard Fire Department. And I finally get to the fire department, and I've got PTSD from my own house fire, so just being around fire trucks and ambulances and stuff like that makes me in a bad spot. It puts me in a bad place. But I've held myself together, and I've been strong for my friend, and I just needed to make sure she was okay. And the entire time that I'm driving to this fire station, I feel my chest. It feels like there are two hands in my chest, and they are wringing every muscle in in the chest cavity like a washcloth. I mean, I do it like this, but it felt like this. We get to the firehouse, and I can't get the fireman to answer the door. I'm not knocking loud enough. I don't know if the doorbell's not ringing or what. So I run around to the side, and I see somebody in a truck that looks like they may be a fireman. It's a personal truck. And I go to knocking on his window, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but my friend is having a medical emergency, and I need your help. And he gets the paramedics around, and once she's in the ambulance, because they did an EKG on her, the fireman was talking to me, and I lost my shit, y'all. Oh, Lord. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I couldn't help it. Snot bubbles and all. It was horrible. This poor man had to catch my snot bubbles and tears on his shoulder. I'm sure he was happy about it. But I had seen too much already. I had experienced too much already. I was overwhelmed. I felt my friend slipping away from me. And I was in a firehouse surrounded by sights and smells and every trigger for a house fire survivor to be triggered by. I was in the middle of my own personal hell. So I lost my shit for a minute. And then I got my shit back together when the door swung open of the ambulance, and the paramedic looked me in my eye and said, your friend is not getting oxygen to her heart. We have to go now. I was like, in the back of my head, I heard the Forrest Gump line, and I was running. I was like, and I was driving. Literally, I could have been the third wheel to the Ricky Bobby shake and bake machine. No lie. I don't know how fast I was going in that Ford truck. All I know is that my foot was to the floor. Driving through school zones, because this is like 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the afternoon now. So driving through school zones, driving through red lights, following an ambulance with its lights and sirens on, and I haven't puked all over myself. I'm so proud. We make it to the ER, and I struggle to find a place to park, finally make it back there and get to my friend. And I was told by more than one person that if I didn't do what I had done, things would have been really bad. Come to find out, that stent that she had in her heart when she was younger, when she had that heart attack, there was a clot that had formed in that stent. I wouldn't have reached out to her had I not followed those internal prompts. She got to see me in a different light, and after hearing the story, probably feels very differently about me. So it was an interesting weekend. I've done my own stunts, and now I've done stunt driving. You've got to find a way to laugh. If you don't, you're going to go insane. But, yeah, that's the story that I wanted to share with y'all. That I was the able body that received the messages and interpreted the prompts and took the action. But it was not my messages. That was Angie. Angie saved her daughter's life through me. So, pretty interesting. like I said, I get messages. And they come to me. I don't seek them out. And I acknowledge them. And I acknowledge them because I know what the world can look like when I don't. And I just really wanted to share that story with y'all. I did not know that my bond to her was as close as it was. I definitely did not know that Angie would have the ability to command my attention in that manner and guide my feet in that way. But I give her the credit for giving me what I needed to do. It's still kind of overwhelming to even talk about, to be completely honest. But it's just one of those things that I wanted to share with you. I feel like there are people that watch this channel that understand exactly what I'm talking about, that get messages too, that deal with the oddities, those coincidences, those strange synchronicities, and kind of can unravel or unlock a deeper mystery to it. Stephanie is at home now. She is well. They were able to handle the clot in the heart cath lab, so there was no invasive surgery that had to happen. There was a procedure, but it wasn't as invasive as open heart surgery, like what would happen if there was a heart attack. Let this be a message of confirmation for anyone out there who has lost a loved one and you don't know where they're at or if they're watching over you or not. They absolutely are very near you, and they look out for you every day. And they do their best to intercede on your behalf and to get the attention of those who are paying attention to help you along the way. I guess I'm one of those people that they're going to use to get my attention now. But it's odd to have watched stories like The Ghost Whisperer or Chip Coffee or Ghost Adventures, The Dead Files. I love all of those shows. I'm fascinated by that type of work. But to have been a fan and watch it, and now to actually experience it, it's intense. So, that's my story, y'all, and I'm sticking to it. I hope you're well. Those February videos, I've got about half of the Zodiac done. I'm going to work on the other half right now before class. And I'll try to get them all uploaded and released within the next 24 hours. Send me some positive energy on that. And, yeah. Pay attention to what's going on around you. There's little messages everywhere. I love y'all. I hope you're well. Be kind. Be kind to others. We need it now more than ever. Take care, y'all. Bye.